Hi, welcome to my stream. I don't know what I'm doing here. What? Why isn't my thing working? I don't know if you guys... Okay. It's just the disable... Okay, there it goes. It's working now. Hi guys, welcome to my stream. As you saw by the title, I'm either going to be doing quads in my backyard or I'm just going to chill inside my house. Depending, it looks like I'm probably not going to do quads outside. It's kind of cold and I'm really cold on the inside. I mean, I can go see what temperature it is. Geez, it's 50 degrees in here. Okay, maybe not. Ooh, I know. Come with me to go to my room because I don't feel like being out here. Also, if you're my grandfather and you're seeing this, don't just ignore it. Also, I don't think he can see this because he's probably not subscribed to me. YouTube. It smells really bad in here because of me doing some stuff. How to make thumb style puffy fursuit hand paws? Hell yeah!
Is real. That's why you need Zevo traps. Zevo attracts and traps bugs 24/7 using a blue and UV light with no odor and no mess for effortless protection. Zevo, people friendly, bug deadly. Sometimes it takes a different approach to see the possibilities all around you. Hey everybody, welcome to our very first YouTube video. In this video, we're going to be reviewing how to assemble our 4-finger thumb-style puffy hand paw pattern. If you're interested in picking up this pattern for yourself, hop on over to our Etsy. There's going to be a link in the description where you can purchase this pattern and then follow along with this video as well as the written tutorial. If you like what we do, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so you know when we post new video. It's stuff like that that helps us do what we love. And without further ado, on to the video. The first thing you're going to need to grab is a silver Sharpie marker, and then you're going to get yourself a really sharp pair of scissors. We recommend a sewing machine. It's helpful. You're going to have a hard time if you don't have one. And then get some Wonder Clips. You're also going to need some sewing pins. These will help keep your minky in place. And then any sort of pet slicker brush is going to be helpful. Grab your choice of colored fur, as well as your choice of colored minky for the toesies. And then you're going to need some stretchy sport fabric for the liner. Grab some thread of any color, and then some light polyfill stuffing. We're going to start by cutting out all of our pattern pieces. Make sure you're cutting on the outside of that black line. The next thing we're going to do is grab an X-Acto knife and trim out all of the paw pads. This is important because we're going to trace inside of them for our pattern pieces that say attached to. You're going to take those together. And if you plan on utilizing this pattern multiple times, we really recommend laminating it. It makes tracing way easier and will improve the longevity of your pattern, so you don't have to print it out multiple times. Now it's time to grab our fur. The first thing you always do when you grab the fur is check the fur direction. Fur direction is one of the most integral parts of making sure these patterns work. And so those little arrows on top of the pattern correspond to that fur direction. When you trace it out, make sure we're tracing carefully on the outside of that line. And because we're making two, we're going to do a process called reflecting. When you flip it over, you want to ensure that the arrows are still going in the same fur direction. And then anything we trace with the text up, we're going to put an X on that. The X's are going to help us later when we go to put everything together. Just like we traced those two back of the hand pieces, we're also going to make sure we're tracing two of those front of the hand pieces. These are going to function as our wrists. All right, next up are the toes. We're starting with the outer fingers. We're going to trace 4 outers and 4 inners. Notice how anything with that text up, again, we're putting that little X. If you want to take and add claws to your paws, you're going to mark the little red marks onto your fur, and those are going to be our claw indicators.
Doesn't that look so cool?
Our toes are really similar shapes. We find that it's helpful to label them with an O or an I to keep them separate. Once you finish tracing, you're going to end up with a grand total of 4 inner and 4 outers. Now we're going to move on to those front of fingers. We're going to need 4 of the outer fingers and 4 of the inner fingers.
It's like dysphoria, almost. It's like you're on some type of drug. See, everything's going to go back to normal. That's how you do it again. You just take glue. You want to get clear gel tacky glue. And it makes everything so much clearer. Oh! Cold.
As far as seam allowance goes, we find it to be a largely personal preference thing. If you like seam allowance, and lots of people do, we recommend about a 1/4 inch. If you're like us and have a real handle on your sewing machine, you may not be a big fan of a whole lot of seam allowance. The only seam allowance
My computer isn't moving. That'd be the glue dripping. My finger's sticky now. I'm gonna take this. It's gonna be dark for a minute, so don't get scared. Oh, is it? But it's not. Let me go get. This all cleaned up.
Once we finish cutting out all of our fur, we're going to move on to the applique stage. This is where you're going to grab your top hat fabric, and you can choose something like vinyl or mealy or fleece. In our case, we're going to use mealy. And the key with mealy is just like fur, it has a direction. So you're going to double check that direction and then cut a rough square around wherever you'd like to do your applique. The key to a flat applique is a healthy amount of pins. So this is something that you're going to take a few tries at to make sure it's smooth. But take some little sewing pins and pin your mealy or your vinyl or whatever you're using down around your appliques. It's finally time to sew. Go over to your sewing machine and using a thread that best matches your pop hat color, use a straight stitch to sew around those lines that we traced earlier, taking out the seams as you go. I always worry about hitting the seams with my needle and snap.
Okay, I'm back.
Choose to sew over them, whatever floats your boat and calls you captain. The next thing we're going to do is trim off all that excess fabric. I like to take care of what are called applique scissors for this. And trim around that. So close that you
Oh crap. Crap. Oh god. It's so bad. Also, Noah, who are you? Mm-hmm.
We like to use a slipper brush to brush out all that cracked fur from under our stitching.
It's dysphoria, and it makes my face longer.
Here in this filter's office, we found all of this to be like something actually do this applique process. We actually have an embroidery machine that will do all of that for us. Please enjoy some very, very satisfying embroidery machine clips.
I'd love to learn how to make a fursuit.
Listen up. If not, ignore this, I guess. You're going to select the claw that you like from the actual claws that you pattern, and then you have to make sure you trace 8 of those onto a piece of fabric. What we found is a really great way to do these claws is actually doubling the fabric up, because why trace them twice if you don't have to? Take those pieces of fabric over to the sewing machine and trace around the outside of those claws with a straight stitch with a thread that matches the color of the material. Make sure you leave the bottom open because we'll need to put them inside out after we're done sewing.
Perfect.
Next up, we'll need
Now
to
it's no longer dysphoria.
Notice how we left the bottom open, just like I was talking about earlier. Make sure you don't cut too close to your stitching. This is a surefire way to see your claws fall apart later on, is by accidentally cutting a couple of threads that you weren't supposed to. If you're not adding claws to your hand paws, clip up the back of the fingers just like we see here. We're matching the two ends of that dart together and clipping up everything that's in it. If you're adding claws, tune back in. The first thing we want to do is turn them right side out, and then we're going to use polyfill to stuff them to your desired density. I like making them a little denser at the tip and a little less dense at the back. Then you can either use a sewing machine or hand sewing. With Minky, it's dreadfully slippery, and so sometimes hand sewing these claws together is going to be what's easiest for you. Once you get the claw all ready to go, we're going to insert it into the upper finger. So notice that little mark that we made earlier. You're going to use that to align your claw and make sure it's in the right place. For this one, we have to honestly just using it to place your claw in the right spot, whether it's below that or centered on it, it's up to you. For those of us doing claws, here comes the tricky part. If you're not adding claws, this should be a breeze. You're going to sew those darts closed either with the claws included or if you're not doing claws, without the claws included. We're using a straight stitch.
I'll be right back. My kitten's getting a crying attack.
Again, like I said earlier, Mickey and other claw materials are pretty slippery. You very well may have an easier time hand sewing these into the blanket stitch. So if you're having trouble on the machine, give that a shot. Now we get to assemble the paws. We're going to start by attaching both of the wrists to both of the palm pieces. I like using a straight stitch to assemble these. Now, this is where the X's that we drew on earlier are really going to come into play. Keep in mind that these are our thumb style hand paws, which means they're going to be asymmetrical. When you're clipping on your fingers, pay attention to the I's and O's we drew on earlier. The outer fingers are going to go on the outside of the hand, and the inner fingers are going to go on the inside of the hand. Your fingers with the X's on them are only going to be on one side of the hand, so make sure that your X's are both on the same side. Keep in mind though that because these hand paws have a left and a right due to the thumb, the first one you make, the X's may be on one side, like the right side. The second paw you make, the X's will be on the opposite side of the hand. Just like sewing the wrist to the palm, we're going to use a straight stitch to sew on these fingers. I find sewing on the fingers in sets of 2 like this is really helpful. If you try to sew them all on together at once, I find that visually, just like we talked about before, and sew them on with a straight stitch.
Hey y'all, I'm back. I apparently also got mail, but again, nothing for me has come.
Next comes the fun part, and by the fun part, I mean the really annoying and time-consuming part of flipping the back of the hands to the front of the hands. We like to start by clipping around the darts and making sure that the darts are pointing forward in the middle of those toe beads. So that way, if you have claws, it's ensuring that the claws are pointing forward in the right direction. Once you flip up those claw darts, we can go ahead and start clipping around the entire hand paw. With this, there is no such thing as too many wonder clips. The more wonder clips you have, the more secure and less slippy your paw is going to be when you sew it. To sew the two halves of the paws together, we're going to utilize a straight stitch. This is one of the parts of the process that I really encourage you to take your time with. This is tricky. Again, if you're not super confident on the sewing machine, you might want to try to hand sew this, and that's perfectly fine. As you sew, go real slow to make sure that you're grabbing both sides of the fabric as you stitch over them.
Oh. It's It's just like this. This is the price list. It has commissions. You have to pay. You have to pay for commissions because you have to. It's only $10 though. The poppets are $1. The candles are $5. The wolves are $3. The bracelets that are crystal are $20 because those are real crystals. Those are not glass or